GolfNewsRI presents the Golf Dudes Podcast. Here are the dudes.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Golf Dudes Podcast. Happy Thursday, March 2nd. We are slowly, very slowly getting closer to golf season. Of course, the snowstorm that hit us this past week didn't help, but it wasn't as bad as everybody predicted. It wasn't as bad as the weather people predicted. Shocking, you know. So here we are, Golf Dudes Podcast. Just me today, Joe Calabro. Again, hope everyone's having a great week. And this podcast is presented by Link's Drinks. Link's Drinks is best known, of course, for their transfusion in a can. There's 3 different flavors of transfusions. There's the regular transfusion. There's the back 9 and the front 9. The front 9 has orange juice, and the back 9 is cranberry juice. So check that out at liquor stores and country clubs near you. And of course, this Golf News podcast streams on the GolfNewsRI podcast network, and that is sponsored exclusively by Vintage Cigar Bar and Club. So thank you to them. And of course, they also sponsor the Expand Your Brand podcast, which another big hit this week, and that podcast continues to grow. Really excited for that. So if you missed out on any of those episodes, check them out on golfnewsri.com and catch yourself up this weekend of podcasts. Make sure we are in your podcast rotation because that's where we want to be. We're also on Apple and Spotify. So if you just want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, that's fine too. So we're still looking at ways to advance those as far as actually doing something with them, putting content out of them. So we'll figure that out in the coming days. But that's where we are. We are on all different platforms now. So it's great. And thanks to everybody for your support through the process. So a couple of things going on. Obviously, a big story this week was Brad Adamonis getting to the Champions Tour event, the Color Guard Classic, which starts tomorrow. He tees off at 2:09 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon with David McKenzie and Brian Cooper. Don't know who those people are, but we know who Brad Adamonis is, so a huge deal for him. Congratulations to him. He won the Monday Q for the Color Guard Classic. He eagled the 18th hole. He knocked it in from the middle of the fairway, I believe, with a pitching wedge. I think it was like 137 yards out with a wedge, and he knocked it in the hole for an eagle on the par 4 18th hole. And so if he had made birdie, he probably still would have won. I mean, he probably still would have gotten into the tournament, but it certainly would have been a lot tighter, potentially a playoff. So the eagle was clutch, and congrats to him. It was great to talk to him last summer as he put that clip out on social media. And hopefully he'll be back in Rhode Island this summer at a Triggs at the Challenge Cup event or whatever it may be. So congrats to Brad. We'll be watching this weekend. It should be really cool. There's actually 3 Rhode Islanders in the field at the Color Guard Classic. Obviously, Adamonis, then Billy Andrade is playing, and also Brad Quigley. So a Rhode Island flavor to the Color Guard Classic this week on the Champions Tour. I know they've been tweeting out today. They're in Tucson, Arizona, and it actually snowed there. And today was the Pro-Am. Again, Champions Tour events are 3 rounds, like live. They go from Friday to Sunday. So today was the Pro-Am, and it got snowed, and it snowed. So they're on delay in the Pro-Am for whatever that's worth. But really excited week at the Champions Tour, and for Brad Adamonis, hopefully he makes something of it and make a cut. Get something significant and go from there. So who knows? Maybe even be in contention. Obviously, it's a great field with Furyk and Freddie Couples and others. But good for him. Exciting Monday Q. Gotta love the Monday Qs. They're great. So there's that. So we'll be watching obviously that this week. Obviously, Bay Hill is going on as well. That's underway as we speak. And of course, when you think of Bay Hill, it's been cool to see some of the tweets. The Arnold Palmer Invitational, of course, is the name of the tournament, and named after the legendary Arnold Palmer. And it's been cool to see some of their tweets and some of their social media content showing kind of, the other day they had Arnold Palmer had written letters to all the players who had won his tournament in past years. So they had Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy and whoever else, and they're all like typed out letters from Arnold Palmer, and you could read all the letters and stuff. So that was really cool. And I guess to have the Arnold Palmer experience, you can actually hit balls. I'm assuming on a simulator with Arnold Palmer's actual clubs that he used. So and you see these things like blades, they're like that thin. It's like how do you hit a ball like that? But obviously he did. Back in the day, the game was much different, for sure. I'm actually reading a book called The Story of the Masters by David Barrett. It's on the floor next to me. That's why I was looking over. I want to make sure I got the guy's name right. And it talks about, it takes you all through the years of the Masters. And it's really exciting. It's really cool. I think I'm on 1994 or 5. But it starts like way back in like the 30s, whatever it is. But you see how the game changes, and similar to our one socket dynasty story, obviously on a much bigger scale. But similar to that is how we went through the years, and you could see how the game changes through the years, and you see that with the Masters, with this Masters book. So anyway, it's a good book. I recommend it. I'm not done with it yet, but I'm close. So I'm getting to the good parts, the Tiger Woods years. That's coming up in like a year or two. In the book, I mean, not a year or two in the book, not like literally a year or two. So, anyways, with the Arnold Palmer Invitational, obviously, you always makes you think of Arnold Palmer and how great he was, and how what an ambassador he was for the game. He really was one of the first players, if not the first player, to have his own private jet. He really kind of was among the first to bring fashion into the game of golf, and now obviously fashion is a major factor in golf, is a big thing in golf. I like to think I'm fashionable. I mean, I currently look like shit, but other than that, so there's that. So, and for me, it always goes back to my Arnold Palmer story, which I've told a million times for sure. And that's when he came to the CBS Charity Classic in 2005, 2006. One of those years. I never remember the year off the top of my head, but it was one of those. And I was a volunteer. I used to volunteer at the CBS Classic, obviously, over at Ryan Country Club, and I was a marshal, which means I got to hold a quiet sign, quiet please. That. So I was a marshal on a tee. Couldn't tell you what tee box it was. I don't, but he was playing. He was with Billy Andrade's group. He was playing with Billy. I forget who the other pairing was. It could have been Faxon, but he was playing with Billy, and he came over the tee. And obviously, he was older at this time and basically retired from professional golf for the most part. But he would just show up. Him and Billy had a connection through Wake Forest. But he came to this tournament and he played a little while. He played a handful of holes, whatever, and he came to the tee box, and I was just standing there like this, a starry-eyed kid. And he came over and asked me how I was doing, and I said, "Good. How are you doing?" As a kid would say, and he said, I'm good. I'm tired." And so it's his turn to hit, and he goes, "Oh, I have to hit again," because he was tiring out. It was obviously, it must have been later in the course. Again, I don't remember what hole it was, but it was pretty cool for him to I was just standing there. I mean, he just came over and asked me how I was doing, for no reason. But that's, I guess, who he was, and that's kind of what he means to golf. So I'll always have that Arnold Palmer story, and I've told it a million times. I think I even wrote about it, but there's that. So that's what we have for tour stuff. People are wondering about Davis Chatfield. He's still on the Corn Ferry Tour. The Corn Ferry Tour has actually been off for a couple of weeks. I think they come back to action in a week or two. They kind of take a break. So they've actually been off. That's why there's been no Davis Chatfield updates. He did play in the Monday queue for the Honda Classic, I believe, 2 weeks ago or last week. Obviously, as we reported, he didn't get in, but he's been off for a couple of weeks. The Corn Ferry Tour has been off for a couple of weeks, so that's why you haven't seen any Davis Chatfield updates in a while, but they'll be coming in full force soon. Don't worry. Also, Christopher Encore obviously didn't make the qualifier for the Puerto Rico Open. He finished over par, and that was a bizarre situation at the Puerto Rico Monday queue, because the guys didn't finish, and they had have a playoff the next day, so Tuesday, and then they had to catch a flight to Puerto Rico like that day, basically, to to go play in the Puerto Rico Open, and obviously flights to Puerto Rico are probably not cheap, I don't imagine. So that was kind of a bizarre situation, is that the Monday Q didn't finish, but Frank Gore obviously was not in contention. So, and then Will Dixon, he's been on a break for a while now. He's been so I have his schedule on my notes on my phone, like he shared his schedule with me, and he's been making changes and updating it and all different things. So he's been on a break for a little while. He's going to be playing in some Corn Ferry Tour Monday Qs coming up. And hold on, I can tell you right now. March 19th is when he returns to action, at least according to his current schedule. And he's a Monday Q, Corn Ferry Tour Monday Q in Savannah, Georgia. So that's where he is. Again, he's been on a break for a while. He's added a number of events. A lot of Monday Qs, obviously. He's really trying to focus on that this year. So we'll have updates from him when he returns to action. And so that's where we are. Obviously, that's kind of the scene on the professional world. Obviously, the big news coming this week from the PGA Tour, that they are changing, they're kind of changing their whole tour format around for the 2024 season. Kind of bizarre. They're taking some of the elevated events, and they are, they're reducing the field sizes. There are going to be no cut events, summer to live, to try to keep these guys all playing together and keep star players around longer. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like. I'm kind of split on the decision, as I can see it both ways. I like the cuts because I think making, for some of these guys, making a PGA Tour cut is a big deal. And obviously for the star players, the Justin Thomases, the Jordan Spieths, and those guys, just making the cut obviously is not very good. But for some guys, making the cut is a big deal, and they'll still have that in the non-designated events. But then you look at the non-designated events, and what does the field look like? Perfect example was the Honda Classic last week. Obviously, it was a great finish and a great win for Chris Kirk, and a great story. A guy who took a leave of absence from the tour a few years ago to fight alcoholism and addiction, and he's worked his way back up. And he's afterward he said, "Thank God for my sobriety," whatever it might be. So obviously it was a great story, but the field was terrible. I don't know that anybody really watched. So apparently, according to the ratings, more people watched the Honda Classic than Live. Take that for what you will. So it will be interesting to see how it all plays out. I know there's a lot of mixed reaction, a lot of people bashing the tour for kind of turning into Live golf. Because obviously that's what Live does. They have no cuts. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I know a lot of the players are reacting to it this week at Arnold Palmer and their press conferences and such. And Max Homa had a 4-minute whole speech on it type of thing. So we'll see what happens with it. It's interesting. But if the PGA Tour feels like this is what they need to do, then that's what they need to do. It's amazing how in just a little over a year or so, Live has already had a major impact on the game of golf. So obviously the PGA Tour is feeling threatened. There's competition now. The legal stuff aside, which I just don't have the patience for. We'll report it if the final verdict is announced, I guess. But Live is providing competition and it's changing the PGA Tour. We'll see if it's for the better. We'll have to wait and see. The changes aren't coming until 2024. So this year will be obviously the regular season. And the other thing to keep in mind is the changes are not affecting the players or any of the majors. So all the majors will be the same. The Players' Championships will be the same. I know Rory McIlroy hinted on it hinted at it in an interview with Golf Channel the other day that, the cut thing is not set in stone. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess what that looks like, but that's what's been reported so far. That was in the memo from the PGA Tour to the players, and we'll see what else. But that was the big story that broke yesterday. The PGA Tour making significant changes, more significant changes, because they already made changes this year with designated events, with or elevated events. Some people are calling it designated events. Some people are calling it elevated events. Whatever you prefer. So that will be something to watch for. A few other things going on. Have some updates on GolfNewsRI, what we're going to do this summer, what we're hoping to do this summer, and other things. So stay tuned for that after this commercial break. This is the Golf Dudes Podcast. Billy Andrade joins the show. Billy, thanks so much for doing this, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm very excited to be joined by an 11-time Emmy Award winner, and that is Armin Katayan. Massachusetts Women's Amateur Champion Allison Paik.
The days of the country club just being golf and maybe one amenity are gone. Unfortunately, Metacomet doesn't have those.
He has a very rare condition called kyphoscoliotic Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And at the time of diagnosis, there was only 60 documented cases in the world.
I mean, we legitimately played the last 4 holes at Newport National. You could not see 50 yards.
Welcome back to the Golf News Podcast, presented by Link Strength, streaming on the GolfNewsRI Podcast Network, which is, of course, sponsored by Vintage Cigar Lounge and Club. A few things coming up with them. Coming in April, we're going to start with the Cigar of the Week, the Golf Cigar of the Week. So that's going to be really awesome. I know we did one back in January-ish. Early January, we did a Golf Cigar of the Week just to kind of test it out, give it a test run. It did really well. People were excited about it. So we're going to bring that up in April, starting in April. I don't have an exact date for you, but it'll be up kind of first thing Monday morning every week. And so that should be great. So check them out. I'm really looking forward to spending more time there. Not that I'm a big cigar smoker. I don't actually smoke cigars at all, but just the vibe of the place is really cool. The Charlestown location is going to be awesome. Can't wait to do some podcasting there. I know Jeff and Austin have talked about that as well. So really cool stuff coming up on that front. Anyways, so I want to get into some updates for GolfNewsRI and where we are, where we're going, etc. A couple other quick things to hit on. Before that, I know a lot of people were excited about the story about Spargo Golf moving to Buttonhole, and they're obviously moving from Mulligan's Island. We had that story earlier this week, so congrats to them on their new office over at Buttonhole next to the Rhode Island Golf Association facility. So congrats to them. Obviously, this continues to bring up the question of the uncertainty of Mulligan's Island. There haven't really been any updates on that I have seen. I know Mayor Hopkins told GolfNewsRI last summer that there are multiple things on the board for it. There are multiple bids or multiple proposals for it on the board. So we'll see about that. We'll see what happens. Again, no updates on Mulligan's yet. But with Spargo moving out, and you certainly wonder that you continues to bring up questions about the future of that facility with Topgolf opening right down the street. The building is starting to come around. If you drive by there, you can kind of see in the distance. It's starting to really look like something. So be sure to keep an eye on that as well. So we'll see. The uncertainty of Mulligan's is continuing to be a story, and will continue to be a story as we go on here. Again, any updates or insights that we have, we'll certainly offer. As of right now, there's a lot of waiting and seeing. But Mayor Hopkins did tell us last year that there were multiple bids on the board and multiple proposals on the board, whatever language he used. So there's that. Patrick Wells, tough finish for him at the Southern Highlands Collegiate. He was tied for the lead at one point, and then he had 3 bogeys on the back 9 that kind of hurt his chances. Obviously, he finished 9th, but obviously a good term for him. One step closer to turning pro. Basically, is how I'm looking at it. Oklahoma is a good team. Obviously, they'll have a chance in the NCAA's, but it's a little bit of a rebuilding year, kind of a mini rebuilding year, as much as those programs can rebuild. But they've been competitive. They're nationally ranked. I think they're 9 in the country. Patrick is number 8 in the PGA Tour University, so it's important to either stay there or move up because he gets exemptions into an exemption into the Korn Ferry Tour upon graduation. Now, whether he plays one more amateur circuit this summer or not is up in the air. I guess it depends on what he can get himself into. Because if he, for example, if he won the Southern Highlands Collegiate, he would have gotten into a PGA Tour event, right? The Shriners Open, Shriners Children's Open, which he played in last year. So if he had won this week, he would have gotten to play in that again. But he could only play in it as an amateur. So if he graduated and turned pro, you lose that exemption into that tournament because you qualified as an amateur. So we'll see if he gets into any other PGA Tour tournaments this year. I know he got the sponsors exemption at Torrey Pines, obviously, back in January, which was cool. But if he has sponsors exemptions to the PGA Tour over the summer, or gets in by winning a college golf tournament, whatever it may be, obviously then he'll probably play Roman amateur circuit because you want to take. I would think, I could be wrong, but I would think you want to take that PGA Tour start as opposed to turning pro and then having to figure it out from there. And also, I think it's probably best to start on the Korn Ferry Tour at the beginning of the season as opposed to in the middle of it. But we'll see. I mean, that's all uncertain. I could be completely wrong. That's just my thoughts and my insight on the situation. Andrew O'Leary is also training pro, like he told us in his interview earlier this year, or he maybe even dating back to early last year, whatever it was. So he'll have a decision to make as well. He's not going to have the exemptions that Patrick is going to have, or that Davis. Davis didn't have it. He Q schooled, but. All things to watch at the Rhode Island golf scene. What a time to be in the Rhode Island golf scene for sure, and we are covering it all. So thanks to everybody for following along. So a couple of things before we wrap this up, and you can all move on with your lives. So a couple of things. Thanks everybody for supporting the Expand Your Brand podcast. It's going really well. They have hopefully they're hoping to get. I don't want to throw everybody under the bus here, but they're hoping to get a few big time guests on the show, kind of sort of celebrities, if you will. So stay tuned for that. They've had some connections. They made some connections, and so stay tuned to their next few episodes. I'm going to be on the show eventually when I get myself down there, but I haven't been able to get there yet. So thanks for supporting the Expand Your Brand podcast. As well as the Golf Dudes podcast. I think it's been really exciting. We're hoping to add another podcast or 2 or more. I mean, if it turns out that way, to the network, and we'll see what happens with that. We're having some conversations and some talks about different things. The other thing, obviously, coming up is March Madness, the NCAA tournament. A brutal loss for Providence last night to Xavier. What it means, I guess time will tell. But it certainly could drop them in seeding. It certainly drops them in Big East seeding, as they'll be probably a 3 or 4 seed now in the Big East tournament as opposed to a 2 seed. If they're a 4 seed, that means they're playing UConn in the first round, which would be exciting. That'd be a Thursday afternoon game in Madison Square Garden. The place would be electric, but I prefer to avoid UConn in the first round. But all the games are going to be hard. What it means for the NCAA tournament, I don't think they're going to get better than a 7 seed unless they win the Big East tournament, right? Unless they go on to win the biggest tournament next week, then obviously that changes things. But I don't think they're better than a 7 seed, could be 8 or 9 seed, and then we're back to normal for PC basketball. But brutal loss last night, and I'm still recovering from it. Hopefully they can win on Saturday and see what happens. With that said, we're hoping to do NCAA tournament bracket or NCAA GolfNewsRI bracket challenge type of thing. It's going to be set up online, obviously. So we'll send out invites as soon as we have that all put together. I don't know what we're going to do it through yet. Probably either ESPN or I think Yahoo still does one. So probably one of those types of things, maybe even CBS. One of those three, CBS, Yahoo, or ESPN, obviously. So we're hoping to do a GolfNewsRI bracket challenge thing for everybody. I think this is all somewhat tentative, but I think obviously it's going to be free to play, and the winner will get some GolfNewsRI merchandise or something along those lines. We'll figure something out. But maybe like a golf round or something with us. I don't know why anybody would want to win that, but hey, it is what it is. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce that basically as soon as the brackets are announced, which is obviously on Selection Sunday. So stay tuned for that stuff. We're still putting that together. We're also looking into doing a GolfNewsRI season kickoff party. Not really even a party. It's really just a get together type of thing, just to get people together and kind of a meet and greet type of thing. Get some of our advertisers out there. So we'll keep you posted on that. Could be early April, could be Masters Week, early April. So we'll have that coming up hopefully soon. We're trying to do something along those lines. Not anything major. It's not gonna be some crazy bash. It could turn into that, but that's kind of things that we are looking forward to. So we have the bracket challenge and the hopefully the kind of season kickoff party. So there is all of that. A few other things. Obviously this weekend we're obviously watching the PGA Tour and the Champions Tour. Really exciting stuff. URI Golf is starting in a couple weeks, so they're to get into the mix. Hopefully they can make an NCAA tournament run. I'm really excited for URI Golf. I think they're going to have a really good year. They have a really good team, and so I'm excited to see what they can do this year. But they'll be starting soon, believe it or not. So that's kind of what we have going on. Obviously, continue to follow our content. We have the best golf content in the state, probably in the region, as far as real news. Still sitting on one big story that I'm waiting on, but obviously we broke a handful of them with pros moving and Northeast Golf Company taking over Bristol Golf Course, which is really exciting for them. And the Spargo story was a big deal the other day. That did really well. So obviously they have a great following, and they're a big supporter of us. So thank them for that. But so that's what we have going on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned all weekend long. Obviously, you have the pro stuff covered. The Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, the Color Guard Invitational in the Champions Tour, Brad Adamonis, Billy Andrade, and Brad Quigley, and a few other things. We also do want to tell you about we're continuing to support the Callahan family in the Chase for a Cure tournament. We reported earlier this week, or we put a story up earlier this week on the third version of that tournament. They're going back to Valley, and the tournament is going to be on. Hold on. May 22nd. Sorry. The Chase for a Cure tournament is May 22nd. We're going to have Michael Callahan on the show again in the next couple of days to a week. So we'll hear from him, get an update on young Chase, and talk about the tournament. They were at Crystal Lake last year. They're going back to Valley this year. So we're continuing to support the Chase for a Cure tournament. I don't know that we'll be playing this year because I'm actually getting married later that week. So that would probably be not Probably not be a great look, but hey, you never know. Never say never. So anyway, we're continuing to support Chase for a Cure and sign up for the tournament. We've already, the reaction that we got by posting the story, we had multiple people message both on Instagram and on Facebook saying that they were going to put a foursome in. So I don't know how many foursomes they're at or how many foursomes they're looking to get necessarily. But I think through our article, we've at least contributed a couple. At least that's what people said they were going to do. So we'll see. So anyway, support that tournament, sign up, put a foursome together at the Valley. It's a great place. They're kind of rebuilding their brand, rebuilding their membership after obviously a couple of years of uncertainty, and the club again was basically sold, but then the deal fell through as we reported, and so continue to support Chase for Cure. It's a great cause, great tournament for a great cause, and sign up for that. You can find the link to sign up in the article on our website. So, and we'll share it again over the next couple of days to a week as well. That way it'll keep popping up. But there's that. The other thing is Northeast Golf Show coming up in a couple of weeks. We do not have a booth this year. There will be no GolfNewsRI booth this year, but we will be there. I'll be there at least 2 of the 3 days at the show, probably doing some sort of podcasts, some sort of content, and obviously making connections myself and walking around seeing everybody. So we don't have a booth this year, but we will be there. I'll be decked out in GolfNewsRI stuff. We have all kinds of hats now, which is really exciting. We have shirts and sweatshirts and all other stuff. So I'll be completely decked out in GolfNewsRI stuff, so you can't miss me. I'll be a walking billboard. So check us out. If you see us, say hi. But I know tickets are going on sale for that in a few days. And Greg Sampson is going to come on the podcast, hopefully sometime next week, to kind of preview the show. So that's what we got. So anyways, with all that said, all those announcements, content announcements, other stuff announcements, we're really excited for the summer. Really excited to do more content, golf content over the summer. Jeff is really excited to kind of get going with that, with video content on the course with some of these top amateurs, Austin and others. So we're really excited to see what we can do as far as that goes. So we're inching closer. It's a long way. It still feels like it's a ways away, but the NCAA tournament's coming up, and that goes by fast, as we all know. It feels like it starts and then it's over, basically. So, and once the NCAA tournament is over, that means it's Masters Week, and then we're in full swing here in golf season. So exciting stuff coming up. Thanks to everybody for continuing to follow. Please continue to like and follow our page and follow our Twitter feed and our Instagram account as we continue to produce content. It's super important to get those likes and follows. So thank you to everybody. And obviously subscribe to our pretty much daily e-blast. We don't send necessarily every single day, but for the most part, we send it daily, especially during the season. It goes out daily. So you want to do that. You want to sign up for all that stuff. It's all free, no charge. So continue to sign up and follow. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stay tuned to GolfNewsRI all weekend long for all your coverage of pro golf. Obviously, it's a big pro golf weekend, and everything else that goes on locally. So this is the Golf Dudes podcast. Have a great weekend, everyone.